This is 93.5 CHMR FM.
It's time for another edition of Transparency with your host, Steve Finn. Our guest tonight is the esteemed chef, Jeremy Charles. Hello, everyone. Welcome. It's another edition of Transparency. I am your host, Steve Finn, and I'm glad you're here with me today because we have an amazing episode to get to. We have the esteemed chef, fisherman, hunter, forager, Jeremy Charles here with us today. He is probably best known for being the executive chef and part owner of Raymond's restaurant here in St. John's. It is the best restaurant in Canada, according to En Route magazine. And he's also the proprietor of a new place in town. It's called the Merchant Tavern. And we are absolutely thrilled to have him on. He's an amazing chef. He's a genius in the kitchen. And he's a very interesting guy. So we're going to be hearing from him. We're going to be learning about his journey through life as a chef. Jeremy is a fascinating character. He started his career at St. Pius Culinary Institute, where he learned the ropes of his trade. Moving on to a place in Montreal called Mediterraneo. Eventually making his way back to Newfoundland to helm Atlantica in Portugal Cove. More recently, he opened Raymond's restaurant back in 2010. And that was with his partner in crime, Jeremy Bonia, the sommelier. And the pair has just this year opened a new restaurant called the Merchant Tavern. So we'll be hearing all about his travels and his experience as a chef, both in restaurants and as a personal chef. Aside from having Jeremy on, we also have a fantastic band that you may or may not have heard of. They are called Paint. Yes, just like the stuff you put on your walls. Paint is their name, and they are a band from Toronto. They've been on the scene for quite a while, and I got to tell you, these guys are fantastic. If you haven't checked them out yet, have a listen to what we're going to play today. I know you're going to like it. You can check out their website at paintband.com. You can get their music there, as well as some of the videos, DVDs that they've put out over the years. We're going to be showcasing their latest EP, which is it's a pretty interesting setup they have for this. It's a 4-song CD. Now, apart from it being a music record, it also serves as a soundtrack to a original short film that has been written by the lead singer and frontman of the band, Rob Johannes, and it is directed by the amazing R. Stevenson Price, who's a friend of mine, and he's a powerhouse behind the camera, and it's a great film. I strongly suggest you check it out. You might even see me somewhere in the background. I helped out a little bit on that film. So the EP is called Based on Truth and Lies. The film that Based on Truth and Lies serves as the soundtrack is called 1111. And you can find out more about this on the website, as I mentioned, paintband.com. Check it out. It's definitely worth your time. So I just want to take a second to let you know, if you haven't already, please follow us on Facebook and Twitter. The Facebook page can be found at facebook.com/transparencychmr. And our Twitter account is at transparency935. So, without further ado, we're going to get to that first track here. Track number 1 on Based on Truth and Lies is a great little ditty called When She's Gone. All right. That was our first track. That was When She's Gone by Paint off of Based on Truth and Lies, their latest EP. You are listening to Transparency. I am your host, Steve Finn. So now we have our guest for this evening, Jeremy Charles, the esteemed chef. Hello, Jeremy.
Hello.
Thank you for coming in. It's a pleasure to have you here on the show on Transparency.
It's a pleasure to be here. Thanks for having me.
I wanted to ask you off the bat about the new place. We all know you from being the executive chef over at Raymond's, but now there's a new place opened under the helm. It's called the Merchant Tavern.
Yeah, it's our new joint, and it's kind of like a Raymond's Bistro. It's a place where you want to come and sit down, relax, and have a pint or a glass of wine, some charcuterie, or just simplicity and in a relaxed environment. And it's going quite well, quite busy.
Yeah, it's a really nice place. I've noticed in there you have an open concept kitchen, and that's a bit of a change from over at Raymond's, where you're kind of out of the way.
Yeah, We're hiding in the dungeon down at Raymond's, but it's a totally different concept. Having people be able to see you cooking and being exposed like that, it's a totally different vibe. But it's a lot of fun, and I think people are interested as to what goes on behind the scenes, and it's a nice little opportunity for people to see what we do and how hard all the chefs work and what it takes to put out the food and whatnot. So it's a cool buzz. Yeah,
you find it changes a lot being on stage that way, where people can see you.
Yeah, I mean every night you're, at Raymond's, your expectations and whatnot, you're always performing. But to be down at the tavern a lot lately, trying to get that going, it's you're definitely on display and having people come up to you all the time. It's been quite interesting. A lot of good friends and family and all walks of life want to come up and just have a word, which is always nice. It's been definitely a learning curve.
Mm-hmm. And I suppose people are coming up to say hi, but I've seen you walking around the place, introducing yourself and making sure everyone's having a good time. It seems to me like making a personal connection with your guests is an important part of it for you.
Oh, for sure. I mean, people come out and they want to have a great dining experience, and I just like being connected to our guests and making sure everything's up to snuff, and I just love being able to go out and say hi and say what's up, and just feel that interaction with people is super important, and hopefully it creates that kind of dining experience.
Oh, for sure. Now, I guess aside from being a chef, you could be considered a fisherman, a hunter, a forager. So you kind of look at food from all angles.
Yeah, I mean, I grew up, fortunately, spent a lot of time in the woods, hunting, fishing, and just picking berries, and out in Old-Perlican and whatnot with my grandmother and grandfather, and started fly fishing as a kid pretty young, and just really, I guess, appreciated all the wonderful, beautiful things we have to offer here in Newfoundland, just to get outside and enjoy that. No video games for me as a kid. It was mostly, on the water and whatnot. But,
right.
I moved away and came back and really kind of understood the wonderful, beautiful bounty of variety of, wild game and obviously the cod fishery and all the beautiful seafood products that we have. And for me, it was a dream to be able to come back and be able to work and cook with all those wonderful ingredients.
Absolutely. So, like you said, you moved away. You went to school in Montreal at St. Pius Culinary Institute?
Yeah, I took French immersion here when I was in Newfoundland and in St. John's and all the way through. And then eventually I decided after my first semester at MUN, I played men's varsity soccer.
Okay.
And I lasted one semester, and I decided it was time to move on. So I hit the road and went to Montreal myself, and now my wife Sarah. We moved downtown Montreal, and she went to college there, Dawson College, and I went to culinary school at St. Pius Culinary Institute on Papineau and Sauvé.
Mm-hmm.
I take the metro every morning. And yeah, it was a wonderful experience. I walked through the doors, and from day one I knew it was something that really clicked for me, you know, working with my hands and being able to have that creative, you know, unlimited, you know, nobody was telling me what to do, basically. Which was
you had your freedom.
Freedom, I guess that's the word I'm looking for, yeah.
I went and read up on St. Pius a little bit in anticipation of you coming on the show.
Yep.
Something that I found interesting, it mentioned that the program is tuition free. Is that true?
That's true, yeah. It was a free culinary program, which is kind of unheard of.
Yeah,
especially these days.
So how is that supported? How do they fund
that?
that?
Through the government. The government helped fund the program, so they were paying us to actually go to school. It was kind of a great setup, you know. So I never had any of these big fat bills at the end of my culinary school.
That's fantastic.
It was, yeah.
You didn't have to dig yourself out of a hole like a lot of former students do.
Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, the CIA and there's all kinds of schools across the country, and it's definitely very pricey. So I was really fortunate to be able to get in there and do what I had to do and get out without much of a massive debt, I guess you'd say. Yeah.
Right. So once you were finished with that, you worked in a few places. You were in Montreal. You were in Chicago, I think, L.A.
Yep.
Working in restaurants and as a personal chef at times.
Yeah, I spent 5 years in Montreal after I finished culinary school and worked with Claude Pelletier at Mediterraneo, which at the time was right across the street from Globe, and Dave McMillan, now Joe Beef, you know, was kind of a happening hip spot, and so I worked there with Claude, and I excuse me, I ended up working with Michel Ross and Zach Sewell as Claude moved on, and I took a gig up north in northern Quebec in Godbout, working privately for the Molson family in Bronfman's at the fishing camp up there, which was a really cool experience because I love fly fishing and cooking, so it kind of went hand in hand, you know.
Yeah.
And before I knew it, I was off to Los Angeles working privately, and then took a gig in Chicago, which I was there for 5 years, working and staging and cooking wherever I could and meeting a lot of wonderful people. One fantastic city, probably my favorite city. I don't know.
Favorite city
in North America. I love New York, but Chicago is just you know, I guess it's on the water, and the music, the people, the architecture, the food, the sports, you know. And I met so many wonderful people there, and it was tough to leave, but I knew I was coming home, so it was a no-brainer for us. So.
Okay, very good. And you know, when you're working privately as a chef, does that is there any added challenge to cooking that way as opposed to cooking for the masses in a restaurant? How does that differ? Yeah,
no. Whenever you're working with somebody that you know, that close and dealing with a lot of different issues, whether it be dietary restrictions or, you know, dislikes and whatnot, it can be quite challenging. But it was a wonderful experience. It allowed me to see a lot of the United States and travel and meet some wonderful people. But you know, it came a point in time where I was ready to just move forward, and you know, your creative abilities are kind of questioned at times when you're cooking broccoli cheese soup for, you know, the third time in 1 week, which is totally cool, and you know, it's
gets monotonous, eh?
Yeah, well, it was just a bit challenging. It was just you know, I think I paid my dues in that one, and it was a wonderful experience. It was just time to move on, you know.
Right, for sure. All right, we'll be back with Jeremy Charles in just a sec. We're going to get to another track from Paint, our featured band today. This is track number 2 from the EP Based on Truth and Lies. It's called Moral of the Story. Stay tuned for more transparency coming up.
Everyone's my cry over those who won't over you. Planting trees in our community is well worth the effort. But if you don't look after them, they may not make it. Urban trees need a little maintenance to survive. Not much. Your extra care will help replenish the urban forest and give us all something we need. Fresh air. Thanks. Help Tree Canada grow clean air. Support Tree Canada by visiting us at treecanada.ca.
Hi, this is Mark Bragg, and you're listening to 93.5 CHMR FM.
All right, that was track number 2 off the new EP from Paint. That EP is called Based on Truth and Lies, and the song was Moral of the Story. And now we are back with Jeremy Charles for more of our interview. So you're back here in Newfoundland after all your travels. You were over at Atlantica.
Yeah, when we moved back in 06, I think it was, I had the opportunity to open Atlantica restaurant in Portugal Cove, St. Philip's, and yeah, it was a pretty amazing experience, you know, to come back and have that opportunity. And yeah, we kind of started to do some fun things down there, tasting menus, and obviously it was a beautiful space and overlooking the water, and yeah, we had a lot of fun there, and again, I spent about three and a half years there, and it was just came a point in time where I was ready to move on and do my own thing, and yeah, so that's kind of what went down there.
Right. And I believe Atlantica is where your relationship started with your partner Jeremy Bonia.
Yes, that's right. Jeremy is a good friend of my buddy Damien Lee, and they were hanging out here in the city when I was away, and we got introduced. And when I moved back, I met Jeremy and had a conversation. He was actually finishing up his carpentry, I shouldn't say degree, what would have been just his carpentry certificate or journeyman or whatnot. He had
right.
a few courses left to go, and I was like, hey man, want to come down and pour wine down to Atlantica with me?
Right.
Because at the time he was at Bianca's and trying to wean himself off the whole thing, and I think he was done with the food industry. So I had him down, and I cooked some food for him and showed him my thoughts and what my plans were, and we talked about it. And a few weeks later, he was on deck, and yeah, that was that.
Right. So yeah, you both are owners of Raymond's. You being the executive chef, and he is the sommelier.
Yeah.
Sommelier. So when you're creating the menu and the wine list, are you more independent working on those things, or do you collaborate?
Oh yeah, no, we talk all the time about food, and especially at Raymond's, you know, with tasting menus and whatnot. We've worked a long time, and we know a lot of different wines and pairings and things that work well together. And but it's always fun to work on new menu items and taste wine and see what works and what doesn't, because it really can, you know, make or break especially a tasting menu if the wine is not up to snuff with the food, or not up to snuff, but if it just doesn't work, it doesn't make sense. So we've put a lot of time and effort, and over the last 7-8 years of tasting a lot of wines, eating a lot of food, and there's some great classic pairings, but we're always discovering new things, and working also too with Erin Turk. She's been a big part of the wine program as well, and Victoria too. She's come on board, and you know, we got a lot of people learning the wine program and becoming sommeliers, and a lot of work to it. So it's been a lot of fun though too.
A lot of fun, but a lot of work. Yeah.
Well, drinking wine is always fun, right?
Oh, of course.
And eating food. So that's the best way. I mean, a lot of the dishes come together on the side of the river with a bottle of Chardonnay and a piece of, roasted fish on the side of the river. It's we talk a lot about food then. You know, it doesn't happen too much anymore, unfortunately. But yeah, a lot of dishes have come together in pairings in the strangest places.
Now, I believe you do a lot of experimentation when you're creating new dishes. There's a lot of trial and error involved. when you're fine-tuning stuff?
For sure. I mean, you're always learning and always evolving, and that's one of my favorite things about being down to the new place right now lately is just working with some different cooks and tasting food and seeing what works, what doesn't, and just the simple things of making, a hamburger, but it's not just making a hamburger, it's making it perfect, making it tasty as damn possible. So
exactly,
it's always learning, and always tasting and trying to figure out the best way to possibly do it. And that's what I think the tavern's all about, just simplicity, but done as best as we can.
For sure. And it must take a lot of patience, getting it just right.
Yeah, it does take a lot of patience, but a lot of organization and being, very very focused and, again, organized and having your ducks in a row and just having the right people around you,
For sure.
We're passionate and want to cook good food.
Yeah, it's important to have the right people around. What do you look for when you're looking for staff in your kitchen? What are good traits to have as a kitchen employee?
I mean, for me, I think obviously attitude is number one. I mean, you can be the best cook in the world, but if you got a stinky attitude, I'm not interested in working with you, man. It's life's too short to work with nasty people. So I look for people's attitude and just passion, and you see a lot of that in young cooks, who are really eager to learn and just want to be there, and it's not just a job; it's more than that, and you can see that in people. So it's it's not easy to find good hands, but I think we're really fortunate to get a great setup down to the tavern, also down to Raymond's too. We have a wonderful staff that have been so dedicated and so passionate, because without them, you have nothing. So I'm really grateful, and I know Jeremy is as well, to all our crew and front of the house, back of the house, and everybody involved.
Right. Now, going back to other Jeremy Boney, I heard yourself and Jeremy are writing a book. Is that true?
That is true.
Yeah, what's going to be in there?
Well, basically, it's through HarperCollins. We've been working on it for quite a while now, and then I had a baby, and now we opened a new restaurant, so it's been a bit of a standstill at the moment, but still chewing on. But it's just recipes of just simple things that we, it's not a cookbook that needs to be totally intricate. It's just about simplicity and stories of food and experiences, and I'm really looking forward to getting that out.
Yeah, sounds great.
It's exciting. It's just been a lot of work, and unfortunately I'm not a writer. I'm a chef, so it's been a bit of a challenge, but it's coming together slowly but surely.
Yeah, it's new ground for you that you're covering.
Oh, for sure.
But I'm looking forward to it. I'll definitely be picking it up.
Thank you.
So at Raymond's and at the Merchant Tavern, all of your seafood options, I believe, are Ocean-Wise compliant. Can you tell us a little bit about what Ocean-Wise means and why that's important?
Yeah, I mean, for the most part, not everything on the menu, but there's a place in Vancouver, the aquarium, they certify Ocean-Wise ingredients, seafood throughout Canada, and they kind of give their stamp of approval of how things are fished in a sustainable way and whatnot. So we try to, pay attention to that and try to stick to the guidelines. And obviously in Newfoundland, you're surrounded by all different types of seafood that are fished in many different ways. So we try to really support fisheries that are done in a sustainable way, which are,
right,
quite challenging.
It is challenging, but we don't want to end up without fish in the future. So
no, for sure. I mean, it's a big deal here, and I think we're always getting better, and we got a lot of work to do, and it's really challenging to change all ways and whatnot. But we just try to support who we can and try to support in the right way, and just basically educate not only ourselves but also our customers where our seafood's coming from.
Right.
So it's very important.
So, also, Jeremy, you have a unique advantage being here in Newfoundland. We have more reasonable laws when it comes to wild game, and that allows you to cook with a lot more ingredients than maybe some of your
mainland friends.
Some of your mainland friends.
Yeah, no, for sure. It's Newfoundland is very unique in that aspect, where we're so fortunate to be able to to use all the things around us, our rabbits and partridge and our moose and yeah, it's amazing. I got so many friends who are so envious because in the rest of Canada there's laws in place that don't allow you to serve wild game, but I think in Newfoundland we're so fortunate to be able to do that because it's really a big part of the dining experience, especially at Raymond's,
Right.
to be able to have a tasting menu and have a moose chop or a beautiful piece of rabbit or partridge or grouse or it's super important. It is who we are, and it creates that sense of place. That's what makes us unique, and I'm super proud of that.
Yeah, and I imagine your peers in other parts of Canada would really love the opportunity to have those freedoms that you do.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, there's always lobbies going on to try to change those laws in place, but yeah, it's always nice to have my friends come here and cook and to be able to celebrate the products that we have available around us. So it's always a lot of fun.
And one example of an opportunity they get to come here and cook with you would be an event that you do. That's Dinner for Levi, it's called.
Yep, Dinner for Levi, every September.
Yeah, this is your third year into it this year?
This will be our fourth, actually.
Oh, fourth year.
Yep.
Perfect. Now, this is a fundraiser for the neonatal intensive care unit at the Janeway.
That's right.
And can you tell us a little bit about what inspired you to start that? And
Sure, yeah. It was definitely a challenging time in my life and Sarah's, and we were just getting ready to open Raymond's and expecting our first child, and all of a sudden he was coming quite early, actually, a few months too early, and we spent a month in neonatal unit here in St. John's at the hospital and the Health Science. And yeah, very, very challenging time. And unfortunately, he passed, and we were, obviously going through a very, very tough time. But we were surrounded by so many wonderful people there, and it was unreal, the amount of support, and to go in there every day to see, different people, and it was an emotional roller coaster. But at the end of it, I looked at Sarah and I was like, I got to be able to give back in some way, somehow, and that's just, that's kind of the only way I know what to do, is to cook and celebrate food. So it kind of came together where I wanted to invite some of my chef friends in, and we started with Anthony Walsh and John Horn from Canoe. That was the very first one, and yeah, we haven't looked back. We're raising 50, 60 grand a night with food and wine and auction items, and so yeah, it's something we're super proud of, and we're working on every year, and just giving back to the neonatal, to the people that need it, and
right.
It's a big part of who we are as a people at Raymond's, and who we are as a family, and yeah, I'm really proud of that.
That's fantastic. And yeah, like the neonatal unit, you've made some measurable difference to the place. I think they've gotten some new equipment with the funds you've raised.
Yeah, they got a heating blanket and a cooling blanket, and this year I think for the money's going towards a room for breast milk, where some mothers are having issues feeding their newborns and whatnot. So I think they're going to be calling it Levi's room, which is super cool. And yeah, so it's something I look forward to every year. It's a celebration of food, friends, family, and just drawing awareness to what's going on. And life is not always a cakewalk. There's lots of challenges and curveballs, and you just kind of deal with them. And this is just our way of, just drawing awareness and giving back.
Yes. Well, I think you've made the best of the cards you've been dealt, so we applaud you for that, Jeremy.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
All right. So now is probably a good time to take another break and go to another song from our featured band, Paint. We're showcasing the new EP from them based on Truth and Lies. This is track number 3 off that. It's called Bonfire of Vanities.
I come here to pour my guts to strangers who pour my drinks. It's safer. Their job is to pretend. The romance we both knew would not last, but wanted to believe me there's still the dream. I wasn't what she wanted, now it's plain to see. She has got a daughter that don't belong to me. They all change, but the photos stay the same. Don't burn them, they'll always be true. But throw our fantasies in a bonfire of vanities. The truth hurts less than losing you. I wasn't what she wanted, now it's plain to see. She's got a daughter that don't belong to me.
Do the party shake.
Every Saturday night from 7 to 9 p.m., join your hosts, Ward and Chelsea, for the party. Only on 93.5 CHMR FM.
Do you want to learn about living a healthier life? Well, now is the time. The Wellness Program brings a healthy lifestyle group brown bag lunch session for employees, students, and alumni. It's happening every Thursday at 12:30 to 1:30 p.m. This announcement has been a public service of 93.5 CHMR FM.
Hi, this is Freddie O. Smith, and you're listening to CHMR 93.5 FM.
All right, that was Bonfire of Vanities by Paint off the new EP from them, Based on Truth and Lies. My name is Steve Finn, and you are listening to Transparency. Today we have in the studio Jeremy Charles. So let's talk a little bit more about the Merchant Tavern.
Sure.
You have your chef de cuisine, Cumin Han,
Yep.
is working with you.
Yep.
And he started out with you at Raymond's maybe 5 years ago?
Yeah, Kim was on deck when we opened Raymond's. He worked with Michael Statlander, and yeah, he's an amazing guy. He's talented, out the wazoo, passionate, professional, and he's one of my best friends. And he's been with me through the thick and thin, and he's a really lovely guy, and he's doing a fantastic job down the tavern right now. And he's traveled the world and cooked, at Faviken this past year in Sweden, one of the best restaurants in the world, and he could work anywhere in the world right now.
Right.
And for him to be on board with us still is says a lot, and I'm super proud of him, and we're happy to have him on deck.
Yes. And you mentioned Fäviken, and I should mention to the listeners that Fäviken is this great place in Sweden that Cuban worked at for a year. The chef there, I believe, is Magnus Nilsson, his name is?
Yeah, Magnus Nilsson, yeah. I was
Yeah.
there a few years ago with Cuban, actually, and my wife and a few other friends. We made the journey to northern Sweden, and probably had the best meal of my life, which was, I've eaten a lot of food, a lot of crazy places, but this was definitely a very inspirational and wonderful meal. And fortunately, Cuban was able to go back and work there, and a pretty magical place.
Yeah. And if anyone's interested, you can check out a episode of the documentary series Chef's Table. They did a coverage of Fäviken there, and you can see Cuban at work.
And Mia's there as well. His better half, Mia, came from Fäviken. She's originally from Australia.
Right.
So
And she's your pastry chef at the Merchant?
Yeah, Mia's doing pastry right now. She's kind of jack of all trades, but yeah, she's working hard on pastry, and yeah, again, very special person.
Absolutely. So you participate in culinary events pretty regularly. You've done Cook It Raw, Terroir Symposium, the Northern Chefs Alliance gold medal plates.
Yeah.
Are these important things to attend, like keep on your toes as a chef?
I mean, yes. When we opened Atlantica, I mean, I had never gone to any culinary events, or only in school and whatnot, but I remember getting a phone call from Michael Statlander asking me to come to the Canadian Chefs Congress, which was the very first one on his firm. And it was so amazing to go there and meet all these chefs from across the country and come together and celebrate Canadian food. And I'll never forget that, because it was really the real first true culinary event that I went to, and it really kind of changed me as a chef and as a person as well. And after that, I've been so fortunate to travel around a lot different parts of the world cooking and meeting wonderful people and forming great relationships. And it's something that's important to me to stay on top of, and to try to take the time to go and showcase what we're doing here in Newfoundland and St. John's. It's sometimes people think I'm on vacation, but really it's a lot of work and a lot of travel, and I'm fortunate to be able to do it, and I've learned a lot. Again, met a lot of wonderful people, and
for sure,
hopefully continue to do so.
Absolutely. Now, you're obviously working a lot. You're super busy now. You're juggling 2 restaurants. But when you do get an occasional night off, what restaurants? The occasional night off. What restaurants do you enjoy attending or frequenting around town?
I mean, I spend my scattered Sunday down at the cottage, hanging out with Todd and Steve and having a yarn and seeing what's on the go. But I mean, there's so many great spots in the city, but I always love going to Basho and having some sushi when I do have the opportunity, and sitting at the bar and having a chat with Tak. It's always a treat. God, I mean, I have lunch at Blue maybe twice a week.
Oh, at Basho?
At Blue.
Oh, at Blue?
I'm down a different neck of the woods now, in Yellow Belly, and there's so many wonderful people in the industry, and I try to support them, and it's always nice to be able to sit down and have a meal, and take a pause for thought. So it's I got a lot of wonderful people in the industry doing a lot of great things. So yeah,
that's excellent. What else do I got here?
I don't really have a favorite restaurant. I don't know.
Not really. I guess there's too many things to judge a restaurant on. There's so many things. I don't judge too much. Sometimes I'd rather just cook by myself with my family. Sure. But yeah, it's nice to be able to go out. I do love going to the cottage and just chilling out. It's probably my favorite place to go. Awesome. When you're cooking, do you have a favorite ingredient to use, or a few favorites? Yeah, I mean, when I have the opportunity, usually Sunday, Mondays, to spend at home with the kids and Sarah, I love working with pasta and making pasta, and Hank really enjoys that too, just getting his hands into the dough and using the machine and whatnot, and
Pasta's kind of a simple thing, but a beautiful thing. You start with this dough, and all of a sudden it turns out these beautiful noodles, or handcrafted, or whatever. And yeah, it's fun things to do with kids. Pasta's always nice, so I have to say that. And we love cooking barbecue too.
Cooking barbecue.
Well, Hank loves roasting marshmallows, so it's. But no, I just love whenever we can get outside. Cooking on an open fire for me is very natural and organic, and that's just the way I love cooking food, over open fire. So charcoal barbecue out the back deck, out in the garden, keeping it simple. Simple food is beautiful and sometimes hard to do, but it's a lovely thing. So that's what I love to do.
Fantastic. So recently, Raymond's was just declared the #1 restaurant in Canada. Is this the second year in a row this has happened?
Yeah, apparently so.
Yeah,
so,
congratulations.
Thank you.
That must be a huge boost, a huge inspiration to continue forward with what you're doing, eh?
Yeah, no, it's always so nice to get recognized, and I'm not really one for awards and whatnot, but I'm really, really proud of the whole crew. Everyone's working so hard, and it's it's been quite a journey. And again, to be recognized in Canada as #1 restaurant. I mean, there's so many wonderful restaurants across the country. Anybody could be #1 in a given day, but I'm really, really proud of everybody and what we're doing and all the beautiful food we're showcasing, what we have. So yeah, a big thumbs up to all my crew and all the people who support us and make Raymond's what it is. It's definitely not a one-man gang, but I'm really super proud of all that.
For sure. And it must be a great feeling just knowing that people are coming to this province for the reason of coming and trying Raymond's out.
No, it's always really nice to hear that, when people make their trip planned around coming to eat at the restaurant. Is I never thought that in a million years would happen, and here we are. So again, I'm really proud of that, and really proud of Newfoundland, and again, all the beautiful things we have to showcase, and food being one of them. So I'm really honored, I guess, and excited that people are making the trip here to come see us.
Absolutely. So you mentioned earlier that you do a lot of fly fishing. Do you get out a lot? Do you get a lot of opportunities to get out there?
Well, not much anymore. Obviously, working all the time. But when I do, it's kind of like my therapy. Some people golf, some people, I don't know what they do, but mine is definitely being on the river and spending time fishing is I find therapeutic, and just brings me back to a happy place. And I grew up tying my own salmon flies, down the basement with my father when I was a kid, and working with different tinsels and silks and all different types of furs and moose and caribou and all that kind of stuff. So it kind of really relates to cooking in some ways, having that hook in front of you, and you have really no boundaries. You can put on that whatever you want. It's sort of like cooking. You can put on that plate whatever you wish to do, and working with different textures and colors and tastes and flavors that all kind of intertwine. So I think it's kind of funny. I think cooking and fly tying and fishing is kind of go hand in hand for me.
Right.
So.
And I've seen the pictures on the website of you and the other Jeremy out there fishing, and gotta say, you look like you're definitely in your element. You look pretty happy to be out there.
Yeah, and there's nothing I'd rather be doing more so than obviously spend time with family, but to spend time on the river catching Atlantic salmon is one of the best things in the world that I can possibly think of. So
wicked.
Yeah, it is wicked.
So I just wanted to talk a little bit about the food you're serving at Raymond's and at the Merchant. I mean, none of this stuff comes from your average supermarket. Like, a lot of this stuff, you started with nothing, and you've hired the farmers and the foragers to go out and get what you specifically need, right?
Yeah, no, it's a lot of work goes into menu planning and ingredients, and obviously very seasonal. I mean, we order stuff from all across the country, but again, at Raymond's we try to stick mostly to Newfoundland product, right. And we have obviously some other Canadian ingredients, but that's the most challenging part, is sourcing beautiful quality ingredients, and that's a full-time job. And I'm so fortunate to have a number of people and working with a number of farms, the Old Farm, Lester's, Mount Sion, the list goes on and on and on, you know, and that are growing beautiful, wonderful things for us. And I got other people like Lori and a few other hands tramping through the woods, picking wild edibles and gathering seaweeds and yeah, it's crazy when I think about it. It takes so many people to do what we're doing, and I feel, again, so fortunate and privileged to have those people surrounding us and being able to do what they do. And yeah, it's I don't just walk through the supermarket and pick up a bag of potatoes. It does happen for sure. I'm at market all the time now, but yeah, we just try to pick the most beautiful ingredients we can have and celebrate those in the plate. And yeah, it's not easy.
Not easy, but definitely rewarding, I can imagine.
Yeah, I always say you're only as good as your ingredients, you know, and if,
you're only as good as your ingredients.
Yeah. So it's we're fortunate to have a lot of beautiful ingredients, and being able to showcase those is, you know, it's a privilege, because not every restaurant is able to do that.
For sure. So Jeremy, your wife Sarah.
Yep.
She works as a
interior designer.
Interior designer, and she's actually contributed to the design of your restaurants, Raymond's and the Merchant Tavern.
Yes, she has. She's done a fantastic job, and she's really, really talented. And I'm really super proud of her. She's put a lot of work into it, and it's not every day you get a chance to work with your wife to design a restaurant, you know. So I've been able to do that twice. So it's kind of funny. We've had a few squabbles and a few glasses of wine, and
right.
But yeah, she just started her own company, Carvel and Helm, right now, and they're her and Nancy Shepherd Bragg, and they're doing a great job. And two very passionate ladies, and I'm really excited for their new project.
That's excellent.
Yeah.
And yeah, the new place is just beautiful. Like, you got kind of a lodge type of vibe going on. There's a lot of wood.
Yeah, a lot of wood.
There's
a lot of openness.
A lot of openness, yeah. It's really high ceilings, like a warehouse almost.
Yeah, I just didn't want anybody to be able to hide. You know, everybody can see everybody. Everybody can see everyone cooking the food. I mean, the kitchen is meticulous, beautifully clean, and yeah, I just really wanted that open feel, you know. And I think we've achieved that. And the artwork too, through Ned Pratt, that comes through the cookbook that we're working on. So Ned did a beautiful job, and yeah, I'm really excited about the whole space, you know. I really hope St. John's embraces it, and it's a really, you know, just a casual place to come and have some good food and chill out, you know. So.
Yeah, and I've overheard a lot of people making comments on the giant moose head that's up above the entrance. I'm assuming you shot that yourself.
No, I didn't actually. It's you're not the first one to ask, but a friend of mine, Brian Dalton, he shot that on the in Grossmore a few years back, and I had that mounted in Cornerbrook. It was sitting in storage for the last 2 years, so I was really excited when we got the space. I was able to stick it up there, and I kind of really I love that thing. We got a beautiful caribou down at Raymond, so now we got a moose head at the Merchant. So it's I think very fitting and quite soothing when I look up at it. I love it.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Well, that's about all the time that we have, Jeremy. I wanted to thank you for coming in. It's been a pleasure chatting with you about all your endeavors.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. It's been nice to sit here and have a chat.
Yes, and maybe we'll have you back soon. So we're going to end off the night with one more song from Paint, our featured band. All the music tonight has been from their new EP, Based on Truth and Lies, which is also the soundtrack to the film 1111 by Ryan Stevenson Price. And this last track is called Shattered Hearts. Thanks for listening, folks. Have a great night.
through with me.